From June through September, a massive seasonal deluge sweeps across India. This event is responsible for the vast majority of the country's annual rainfall. Look at the sheer volume of water required here. India is one of the world's largest producers of rice, sugar, and cotton. Farmers depend on these seasonal rains to maintain flooded paddies necessary for their crops to survive. This visualization compares historical monsoon volumes against current data, and the drop-off is severe. As of mid-June, nationwide rainfall has plummeted to nearly 40% below normal. The sky is drying up during the window when over 1 billion people need it most. The country's energy and agricultural industries rely on this specific 4-month window to function. The consequences of this deficit are already migrating from rural farms into major economic hubs, paralyzing urban industrial activity. In Mumbai, the physical reality of water rationing is now visible through diverted water tankers. For the first time in 12 years, the city's water authority suspended supplies to construction sites. That rationing is spreading. Distribution is sharply reduced to factories, to local city businesses, and even local sports clubs. The failure of the monsoon acts as an immediate systemic stress test on infrastructure. Without its primary water source, development in the nation's financial capital simply grinds to a halt. To find the root of the problem, we have to look away from the ground and track a massive shift in the atmosphere, the emergence of El Niño. This sea surface temperature map shows the anomaly's scale. Bright red and purple zones indicate intense heat dominating the Pacific, a climate pattern historically associated with severe South Asian dryness. This specific iteration is unusually aggressive, expected to be one of the strongest on record. Current weather models predict this abnormal dryness will sit heavily over India's northwest and central regions through July and August. El Niño is essentially acting as an atmospheric vacuum, intercepting and redirecting the moisture that South Asia's economy depends upon. Those persistent dry signals in the atmospheric models are translating into severe crop weather alerts on the ground as meteorologists track incoming satellite data. The immediate casualties are critical groundnut and soybean areas. Deep cracks in the parched earth show the soil is currently unviable for planting. Farmers are right in the middle of their biggest planting period of the year, but the unseasonal dryness is radically delaying seed deployment. This timeline illustrates the trap. Because the agricultural calendar is biologically rigid, every delayed day of seeding shortens the growing season, locking in a permanent loss of development time for the crops. While minor regional rain pickups might occur, forecasters have practically ruled out a full-scale normalization of the monsoon. Official models point toward the absolute weakest monsoon in more than a decade. A shortened, dry growing season guarantees poor harvests, which directly impacts the raw supply of staples like rice, maize, and soybeans. Those agricultural shortages immediately translate into surging price pressures at local markets for everyday kitchen staples. The water deficit in the fields ripples through the local economy, manifesting as a widespread cost of living crisis for the general population. These effects will not be contained with India's borders. National agricultural failures require geopolitical defense mechanisms. To protect domestic food security from rising prices, authorities are forced to impose strict export restrictions. This trade flow diagram illustrates the impact. Because India is a top global producer, halting its exports removes a massive volume of food from the international market, causing cascading supply drops in dependent regions. The cause and effect chain is clear. A heat anomaly in the Pacific chokes off the Indian monsoon, parching the soil and stalling essential harvests. This climate disruption acts as the first domino in a chain reaction that destabilizes the global food supply chain.